Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We have some special guests. Shannon Hardy, who's a teacher at the Wake Young Men's Leadership Academy, has brought her classroom here today. And I would like for all of you to stand up so we can say hi, recognize you, and thank you for being here. I asked them what they learned today, and they have learned about home values, housing, median income, medium home prices. I mean, just a lot of really interesting stuff. So you're absorbing this all. And then they're also working on a service project, and they have asked us for some ideas on what they could pursue. So we will work on that, and we will be in touch with you, Shannon. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to say yes.
Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, I've had the pleasure a number of times of going and speaking with the young men. It was good, so you actually remembered. So hopefully I'm doing my part. But I definitely want to thank you all for coming out. Too often, people don't take the time to stop by. The fact that you all are interested in government, want to learn about how you can make a difference in your community, I definitely appreciate it, and thank you all. And anytime that any of us can do it, I will speak on behalf, if I may, if any of us can do anything to help you all, let us know, and we'll be there for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, thank you. You can be seated now. Thank you. And now the fun begins. You're going to hear about our work session item. And I'm going to turn this over to the city manager, just kind of give a little debrief on what we're working on today.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good afternoon, everyone. We will be brief today, so we will bring some exciting news, we hope, that will address some of the concerns that we have witnessed and some of the concerns that will continue to be at the forefront of our conversations around compensation in this organization. So you will recall during the budget deliberations that I asked you to grant me the permission to go back and evaluate some opportunities for us to do some additional compensation bonuses for employees throughout the organization, public safety, solid waste services, all across the organization, and our general STEP employees as well as our broadband employees. We put together an internal work team to work on that. We looked at best practices. We looked at what our current pay models look like. We looked at some of the interim steps that we made in the way of the 2% cost of living adjustment. Now that all of the merits have been applied to everyone except the management team, and those will be following up in the next couple of weeks. We also looked at and evaluated what the market is doing, particularly around public safety pay. And so the team has brought forward some proposals for your consideration. Today will be for information. We will bring it back as an agenda item on November the 1st. But we really wanted to honor the commitment to be judicious and to be committed to making sure that we continue to look at compensation across the board as one of our key priorities moving forward. Again, we are struggling, just like every other organization in this country, to retain employees as well as recruit employees. And so this is a good first step, in my humble opinion, to make sure that we keep the employees that we have as well as try to attract as many new ones as we can so that we can be fully staffed. Again, so I will turn it over to Nikki Hill from the City Manager's Office, who will also be assisted by Allison Bradshaw from Finance, Susan Steed in HR, and myself, if you all have any questions at the conclusion of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council.
We will get it loaded, Councilmember Cox.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Thank you, City Manager, for that introduction again. I am Assistant City Manager Nikki Hill, and thank you for the opportunity to present on our proposal for employee bonuses. And again, as the City Manager mentioned, our CFO, Allison Bradshaw, will be joining me in this presentation. So as a part of this presentation, we will go over the background and the impetus for the proposal. We'll talk about our workforce investments, our overall strategy. We'll also dig into the bonus specifically around the process, eligibility requirements, our design and how we got to the proposal, funding and also implementation, and then we'll round it out with next steps. So as the city manager stated, during the June 6, 2022 city council meeting, our city manager, Marshall Adams, made a commitment to the organization that a proposal for employee bonuses would be presented to city council in the fall. That is when we would have available to us prior year savings to fund these employee bonuses. This commitment reinforces that our employees are our greatest asset and top priority. They are the reason we are able to provide high-quality services to our community, keeping it safe and thriving. In alignment with the city manager's commitment, we are proposing to provide eligible employees with a one-time bonus. With this bonus, we are intentionally targeting lower-paid positions and roles that have experienced recruitment, retention, and compensation challenges over the last several months. So this bonus is really a part of the city's overall workforce investment strategy. Now, I know this is a very busy slide, but if you look at it, it details all of our efforts to invest in employees over the last several months, starting back in April. We have been very intentional and tactical in terms of investing in our employees. And so at a very high level, we've provided COLA. We have increased merit percentages for police, fire, and our emergency call takers, as well as our general employees. And just to give you an idea, some of those included in our general employees are our maintenance workers across the city, so Raleigh Water, Solid Waste Services, PC Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources, and Transportation, just to name a few. We've increased minimums in police and fire, and as a part of our normal HR process, we continue to make pay equity adjustments across the city, including in police and fire. We've also implemented various types of recruitment incentives in public safety, and so not including this bonus that we're proposing today, since April of 2022, we have invested $21 million into our employees. Again, we've invested $21 million in our employees since April of 2022, and that's not including this bonus. In addition to these actions, the city is making plans that will continue to address compensation issues in this current fiscal year, as well as the FY 23-24 budget, which I'll mention later in the presentation. So how did we get here? So in terms of designing the bonus, we worked cross-collaboratively with folks from different departments, so the manager's office, finance, budget, and communications, and I'd like to thank that staff for their hard work. We deliberated over several months looking at different design types, and then we took a draft and vetted that with department directors and chiefs in the fire department, the police department, and the ECC director. And then we vetted it also with our enterprise fund department directors as well as their fiscal teams. We then vetted it with the entire management team as well as the city attorney's office. And we took that feedback and we refined it to get to the model that we are presenting to you today. In terms of eligibility for the bonus, this is a one-time bonus, and it would be and employees that are eligible would have been working for the city on or before June 30th, 2022, and will continue working for the city through the pay period that is associated with the bonus payout. Employees must be full-time regular employees, so part-time employees and temporary employees would not be eligible. We would be excluding employees that are in our broadband executive family. So those are our senior managers, assistant directors, those positions up through our executive positions in the city manager's office, as well as the attorneys in the attorney's office. The city clerk would also be excluded, and then police major and fire division chief positions as well would be excluded from this bonus. So this is approximately 226 full-time employees that would be excluded based on either their position or because they were hired after June 30th. So we designed these bonuses by pay structure, and then we tiered it so that lower salary employees would receive a larger bonus amount. We worked hard to maintain equity so that we are addressing public safety as well as other critical positions in the organization. And in light of what many economists are forecasting as a global recession in 2023, we also designed these bonuses with fiscal responsibility in mind. These bonuses represent a meaningful amount relative to employee salaries, yet they are sensible. So let's dig into the design. So we have two bonus designs that we are proposing. So the first is general employees in police and fire open range, and then the second is broadband employees bonus. So the general and open range bonus is provided to police and fire in the lower ranks, as well as our general employees. And so just generally speaking, these are our non-exempt positions. This is not an exhaustive list, but just to give you an idea of the employees that are included in general employees, our ECC telecommunicators, our maintenance workers, our transportation workers, code enforcement officers, planning specialists, recreation program assistants, administrative specialists, et cetera. Again, that's not an exhaustive list, but that just gives you an idea of who's included in that general employee pay structure. Positions in the general and police and fire open range pay structures represent employees who generally are less likely to be able to work from home. It represents a higher percentage of our lower wage earners. They have lower earning potential as compared to our broadband employees. And they also represent an area in our workforce that has been hardest hit in this current job market. So to reflect these realities, we are proposing a higher bonus amount for these positions. And so if you take a look at the table, you will see that we have it tiered based on salary. And as the salary increases, the bonus amount decreases. And so, for example, an employee in this bonus design under Tier 1 who makes $55,000 or less would be receiving a $2,400 bonus. That represents around 4% of their salary or greater, depending on where they are in the salary range. And that is around 1,200 employees, and that represents 47% of the employees within this bonus design. So to give you an idea of how this impacts public safety and other critical areas in our organization, in the police department, 157 police officers are in tiers 1 or 2 and would be receiving $2,400 or $2,100. There are 170 senior officers in Tier 2, and there are 22 senior officers in Tier 3. In the fire department, there are 145 firefighters in Tiers 1 or 2, and again would be receiving either $2,400 or $2,100. There are 86 senior firefighters in Tiers 2 or 3, and then in ECC, there are 36 employees in Tier 1, and they would be receiving $2,400. There are 21 in Tier 2, and there are 3 in Tier 3. In our maintenance and operations staff, 416 employees are in Tier 1 and would be receiving $2,400, and there are 80 employees in Tier 2. So again, that just gives you an idea of the impact in our organization. So the next bonus design is for our broadband employees. So broadband employees would represent police and fire in the higher ranks, specifically police lieutenants, captains, assistant fire marshals, and battalion chiefs. Also in the broadband design, we have our technical and supervisory roles, such as analysts, supervisors, and mid-managers. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but to give you an idea of those positions, it would include laboratory scientists, utility managers, planners, planning managers, HR analysts, HR managers, fiscal analysts, fiscal managers, technology analysts, and technology managers. Employees in the broadband pay structure generally have greater earning potential as compared to employees in the general and police and fire open range pay structures. However, broadband employees do represent a segment of our workforce where the city has been hard hit, specifically in our IT, HR, and finance professionals. So to reflect these realities, we are proposing a bonus for these employees, yet at a lower amount. And so again, we have that same tier structure, and an employee in Tier 1 of the broadband employee design would receive, if they make $55,000 a year or less, they would receive a bonus of $1,900, and that's around 3% of their salary or greater, depending on where they are in the pay range. And that represents 57 employees, and that's about 6% of. And so now I will hand it over to our CFO, Allison Bradshear, and she's going to go over our funding and our plan for funding these bonuses, as well as our implementation approach.
Thank you, Nikki, and good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Allison Bradsher with the Finance Department. So as Ms. Hill just stated, I'll go over the proposed source of funding for the bonus, the city payout, the total city payout amounts based on the models previously shown, and speak to the implementation process. So the funding sources proposed are prior year fund balance appropriations. So Finance is in the process of closing out the prior fiscal year, which ended June 30th, 2022, and we're working with our city external auditors. Due to budget underruns in departments which are largely due to vacancies, there is fund balance in the general fund and 3 of the city's enterprise operations. So for the general fund, this excess is called general capital reserves and is presented each year to council to be used for critical, non-recurring needs or to be maintained as a reserve. The calculation per our policy is the excess of 14% as compared to next year's budget. It's the same concept really in our enterprise funds, except it's really just referred to as fund balance. So specifically for Raleigh Water, Stormwater, and Solid Waste Services, there is adequate fund balance to be appropriated to fund the employee bonus. Both RCC and parking enterprise operations are not included and are proposed to be funded by the general fund, as these operations were most impacted by the pandemic and are still rebuilding the fund balance that was depleted in prior years. So here is the estimated city cost of the models previously shown. So the largest piece is $5.2 million to be proposed to be funded by general capital reserves. While we're still finalizing the financial statements, I am confident in indicating that $5.2 million is about 25% of the expected capital reserve figure that I will be formally sharing with you in a few weeks. For the enterprises, the amounts are $1.1 million for Raleigh Water, $400,000 for Solid Waste Services, and $200,000 for Stormwater, again, coming from prior year fund balance appropriations for a total cost of $6.9 million. So the implementation plan, as previously stated, these would be one-time payments based on the employee's base salary as of September 30th. So that reflects the recent merit increases for public safety and all of our general and broadband. There would be no repayment required. So should an employee leave after the bonus is made, there would not be a repayment provision. Federal and state taxes would be required as applicable by law. There would not be a contribution required for our ledgers, our pension plan. 401 or 457 also would be excluded from this bonus. The proposal is to pay the bonus out for the pay period ending November 18th, which is a check date of November 23rd, which is the Wednesday right prior to the Thanksgiving holiday. So with that, I will turn it back over to Nikki and will remain for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Allison. So as I stated earlier, these bonuses are part of the city's overall workforce investment strategy.
Excuse me, Nikki. Thanks for joining us today. Bye, everyone.
Bye. So this bonus is a part of the city's overall workforce investment strategy, and the city is going to continue to invest in this workforce investment strategy. Currently, HR is performing a comprehensive market analysis of our public safety pay to systematically address compression and leapfrogging, and we'll be presenting recommendations to council in early next calendar year. And as a part of our budget development process, HR will also perform a market analysis of 1/3 of the jobs in our pay structures. HR will also continue to analyze and address pay equity issues through our normal HR process. So in terms of next steps, we will be refining the design based on any feedback that we receive from City Council today. and then we'll come back at the November 1st meeting, and Allison will be presenting on the annual audit, and she'll provide more definitive numbers around our general capital reserves. And then at that time, we'll ask for council's consideration for approval of these employee bonuses. That concludes the presentation. We welcome any comments or questions or feedback.
Do we have any questions? Councilmember Branch?
So, just so I'm clear as far as I'm looking at the percentage, the number is the lowest amount of what it would be based upon their salary, correct? Where it says 4% or greater?
Right, right.
Okay.
So at a max, those employees in that tier would be comparable to 4% of their salary or greater if they make a lower amount within that range.
Okay.
I had a question related to compression. I saw up there 140 employees would receive bonuses to deal with compression. Where are they located? What departments?
So I think maybe you're referring to over in I think it's police. So in the police department, there are 157 police officers that are in tiers 1 or 2, and they would be receiving the bonus. And then 170 senior officers, and then 22 senior officers as well that are in that third tier. And I'll go back to that slide. There are 145 firefighters in tiers 1 or in tier 2, so they would be receiving either $2,400 or $2,100. And then there are 86 senior firefighters that are in tiers 2 or 3. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Could we include that information on the slides?
Absolutely.
Just so the public and everybody is aware how many officers and firefighters are actually being assisted.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Good job. Thank you. Thanks for bringing this forward. And we will have this back with us on November 1st.
Correct.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Meeting is adjourned.